All right, guys. I've been holding out and keeping a secret from you guys. I have a new, really big project we're going to be working on. It's going to be the first TSS shop build kind of series. We're going to be doing a car for SEMA. Big news, TSS is going to be having a booth at SEMA. The exact location is still unknown. It might be either South Hall or Central. Trying to get into Central. We'll see if they approve my request. If not, we'll be in South Hall, South Upper. And so I'm actually going to be bringing my 1960 El Camino. I'm sure you guys have seen it on Motor Trend, and I'm sure my team will put it up on screen. It's not just going to be my El Camino as is. I'm doing full custom interior, so suspension work, brake work, probably repainting it just because I have some rust spots and that kind of stuff, and obviously at SEMA you want it to be as nice as possible. And I got some fun goodies that I'll be showing you guys in a little bit. It's gonna be one of one, not another vehicle like this in the world. Hope you guys are excited as I am. This is just a little teaser, but make sure you subscribe to the TSS YouTube. As well as all the socials, but YouTube is going to be where I'm doing the longer form videos. It's crunch time. In all reality, it's kind of last minute, and I'm a little stressed out about it, but I'll get it done, whether it's from help from friends or customers or, you know, some good partners. We're going to get this car done, and we're going to get it at SEMA. I'm going to have my first SEMA, and I really hope you guys are excited to A, see the car there, B, watch the car being built really quickly. I think we have like under 60 days at this point. So I'm a little stressed. Hopefully we can get it done, but yeah, appreciate you guys. Like I said, keep an eye out. We're gonna be posting a YouTube video kind of talking about the plan, where the car is now, and then, you know, pulling the motor and that kind of stuff and getting to work. In the meantime, make sure you sign up for our email newsletter or text. I'm going to send out email blasts and text blasts whenever we actually get the car. Once the video's up, we'll send the video out. But all right, guys, appreciate you. So I did this a few years ago to help get cars in and out of the shop at the house. You can see I got just a redneck battery out of a car that I parted out, and then a winch off of a ATV that I welded a custom plate and then bolted it down and made a custom bracket. So what I'm doing, since when I got the motor it was too far back, luckily I was smart and put it on this wood, but you can see we're just bringing it in nice and slow, just that way. It's close enough for me to use my picker. Let's just undo some of the pressure, let it sit, undo it, and now I can use the picker. I have done some stupid shit, but if this works, this was a smart one. If I scratch anything or anything else, it was a dumb one. But anyways, the reason why I'm doing this is A, it does run, but the transmission isn't hooked up, meaning I don't have a shifter. Yes, I could go down and like manually shift it and all that, but that's just by myself. This is smarter. It's a lot slower, but smarter. So I just about cleared this side now and almost are past here. So what I need to do is bring it forward this way, but I don't have anything else I can use as a lever. So I've been putting my my winch around the pillar and then pulling it, and that's how I got to basically here. but I don't have anything else to do it for. I really wish I had like an eyelet like right here, which is something I'm gonna end up doing, is putting an eyelet in each corner of the shop. Maybe one there, one in the corner, one over here, that way I can use it as, you know, a guide. But I'm gonna keep pushing. We are pretty close here, but not too close. The only thing that's really close now is here, but I believe I'm gonna be able to slide it forward and then push it through. So let me, as you can see, ready to get lifted. I had to move these because the wheels on the skateboards weren't working, but ready to go on the lift. So an hour later, well, an hour and 10 minutes or something like that, we are officially in front of the lift. Slash about to be on the lift. I just have to finish kind of putting it together, or putting the arms under it and that kind of stuff, and then we'll start raising it up. And then we will start pulling the motor. That's the next plan of action. It's just a small block 350 with a turbo 350 trans, nothing special, but it runs and drives. I did some maintenance on it. It has a brand new alternator. It has a aftermarket power steering, whole kit. I think it was like $1,200, so I'm gonna end up selling that probably. But nonetheless, car is moved, nothing is scratched, nothing is broken, so it's a win. I'm gonna call it a win. All right, so as you can see, the small block Chevy and the 350 turbo trans is all out. Everything's attached, nothing is cut or anything, so whoever's getting it is getting a good running and driving whole swap. So engine bay's there. Now for the fun part. That's a pretty good test fit. All right, so the motor is test fitted in. As you can see, it is just a mock-up, nothing's bolted in, it's just kind of sitting there. I actually have it just sitting on the cross member because I'm gonna have to make some modifications and order some different swap parts. But I wanted to test fit it just to see what I'm gonna have to dislocate, delete, modify, and build. So obviously right off the rip, the oil pan down there, right here, is on the cross member and the sway bar. So I'm gonna switch it to a rear sump. There's plenty of room. I don't know if you can see down here, but there's plenty of room behind. So right now, the low part of the oil pan is down here, then it goes up and then flat against the motor. So it's like this. So the trough for the oil, or whatever they want to call it, I don't know. I just build shit. It's in the bottom front, right? So I'm gonna change it to a rear sump. So the sump itself, it's gonna have the tight parts of the motor here, then it's gonna drop and then have the trough for the oil back here. That's the plan. Hopefully that's all I have to do. Engine mounts, they're pretty close actually. The factory ones on the JZ are basically right behind this. It's like right here. And then the factory mounts are back here. Granted, I want to bring the motor back quite a bit. There's plenty of room. I got at least 8 inches or so that I can bring it back. I think I'm only gonna do probably 6 because I'd like to have a little bit of a gap back there. But obviously it also comes down to what's going to work. But I wanted to mock it up just so I can kind of see, you know, what I'm gonna have to do for motor mounts. What I need to get ordered like ASAP, because obviously we only have 60 days to finish this at this point. But you can see there's plenty of room back here to move stuff. Obviously this is all being changed, so is the intake side probably. So we're not gonna have too much to change. Obviously I can do a 90 off this rather than having it as just heater hoses, which the car doesn't even have heat currently. So not super pressed, but transmission, plenty of room. Right now it's just mocked up with a jack underneath. You can see Jack's just holding it up. Nothing crazy. Obviously I wanna bring it back more, which should help a lot. Which I might actually jack it up with and try and push it back a little more, just so I can kind of get a better feel for it. But I want to get underneath it and kind of see. Right now the trans dipstick is kind of in the way of that, which this is getting changed anyways to probably a slimmer one anyways. But if, you know, this is probably the biggest one that I would ever have. So in reality, it's not even touching. It's got some room, but whatever. I mean, if that's the worst, it's fine. I've dealt with a lot worse in a swap. All of this stuff actually has plenty of room. This is the power steering that I have to hook up. This, which I believe is a fuel regulator. I'm not positive. Honestly, I have no idea on a 2J, and I haven't even looked at it, but it looks like either a fuel filter or a fuel regulator, although I don't see any fuel lines going to it, so I honestly have no idea what that is. But whatever this is hitting the suspension currently. So not ideal, but I also got to remember it's going this way at least 8 inches. So it'd be pretty close. But who knows, that will probably get replaced and changed or deleted, because I know there's a lot of stuff on this from the factory that you don't need whenever it's not a factory car. But we got a 2J in as it is. It's pretty close. It's a little bit high right here, so we couldn't put our hood on it if we wanted to, but it's in, which is exciting. Now for the hard work, figure out what I need to change, what I need to order, and all that. So 2J in a 1960 El Camino. All right, so I just got finished pressure washing the engine bay. I thought I was videoing it, but it did not work. So I just sprayed this down. I did most of the frame, all of the firewall, the frame, the cross member, the wheel arches, basically everything. Let it sit for about 10 minutes, resprayed it, and then I took a brush and lightly, got after it. I just used my wheel brush just because it's already nasty and I didn't want to use another one. And then I just pressure washed it, and then now it's dry. I did this the other day. Obviously I did it out in the garage. You can see where the grease is. So needless to say, a lot of it came off. I got to put my grease carpet back underneath. I moved it because anytime I'm using the engine hoist, the wheels don't like going over it. So, but yeah. All right. So now what I'm gonna do is get this thing back on the lift. Take a look at what else I need to do on the floors. Obviously, like, the floors are solid, but I have to finish weld them and then seam seal them. I do have to modify a little bit of the tunnel after I did my test fit. It looks like it's just gonna be a little tight, and I want to make sure I have plenty of room. So I'm gonna cut and then stitch weld a couple areas, and then probably beat it up some other areas with a sledgehammer. But for the most part, floors are good. They're nothing pretty. I'm actually making them because I couldn't find a factory one. What I did was kept the firewall, laid it flat, made some relief cuts on both sides, bent it around the factory tunnel, so it's like on top of it, and then I'm gonna go on the bottom and then cut it and then obviously weld it from the bottom. But as you can see, it's at least solid. And then I used some eBay rear pans and then made a new
stitch weld. I did keep the factory rear tunnel as well, and I'm gonna reuse it. It was solid. It's obviously nasty. I mean, the guy that put the floors in before literally glued metal to the factory shit after they cut it out. None of it was welded, so it's a mess. But for the most part, it's all there. I just have to finish welding it, clean it up, and then all this will get some sort of rhino liner, epoxy, and that kind of stuff. But tunnel is pretty good. I actually got pretty lucky with how I did the tunnel, and you know, the fact that it's gonna have plenty of room. But yeah, so these are the factory motor mounts, which I'm probably going to reuse somehow. We'll see. I'm currently thinking, I got some 2JZ swap, which is actually made for an older Supra that look like they're about the right length. What I'm gonna do is get them on the block, drop the block in, and then see how close it's going to be. And then I actually have these, which are LS swap mounts for this car, which I'm going to probably modify. So as you can see, it fits right there onto the factory mount, and this normally gets bolted to the block. The 2JZ though, the mounting blocks are a lot higher, so I'm gonna have some sort of extension. Otherwise I would just, you know, make a mounting plate for these directly to the block, but that's just not gonna work. I have to have, you know, it's like 3 or 4 inches. At least that's what it seems like from the mock-up. But as you can see, holes slotted. This actually might be this side. Yeah, it's actually this side. But really good. Rubber bushing in between, pretty solid. So excited for it. So I really bought like 4 different ways to mount this. So this is just a cheap 2JZ swap for a older Supra, one that came with like the 7M or something like that. So this actually does mount up directly to the 2J, and then it has these downs. So I got this kind of as a backup. It was cheap enough. That way I had a plate and a potential way, and you know, obviously this would be ideal if I don't have to modify this a whole lot, to then mount it to the chassis. And then I got these, which are actually LS to this car. So it's for a 1960 Impala, which is the same as this car, and it goes on the factory subframe, which I'll show you. So it goes right here, and then flaps on. Kind of hard to show you, but basically it goes on right there. Obviously it has to sit down, but nonetheless it goes on right here. And then the idea is I'm going to weld this onto whatever system I end up with to the 2J. So it'll be engine, then the backing plate, and then whatever I build and weld it onto that. So that way I'm gonna have, like, you know, a whole engine mount that's pretty easy to go. So the idea is I'm going to take this and weld this onto the end of whatever I end up doing. So whether it's literally, I mean, if it's perfect, it'll be like that, right? And that'll be the entire mount, which would be awesome. I won't even use those steel plates, and I won't have to do anything else. I doubt it. These are kind of a backup plan. I doubt it's gonna be that lucky. So I got these, which are a LS swap custom mount. So basically the whole point is you have a bushing, and then this gets welded onto the subframe, and then you just remove it from here, which I could do. What I'm probably going to do is figure out how to attach this to that, just obviously some welding, after I trim it, because I'll probably have to modify that, and then I'll weld this to that plate that's currently on the motor over there. So I'll probably cut like close to the welds, like right here, bring it across, and then weld that little piece directly to the plate that's on the block. Obviously take it off the block and weld it, but you get what I mean. And then we'll have this mount as our removable part. I might use these, I might not. It really depends on how this goes. But this is my current main plan. These are kind of backup. These are honestly from Katie's dad's car, the other El Camino in my shop, that I am going to be doing an LS swap on. But these were cheap. I'll just buy him new ones if I end up using them. And then these are kind of, you know, backups. So that's currently the plan. Alright guys, well, after a lot of some welding on the floors, as well as taking apart some of the 2J, I had to remove the entire oil filter housing just so I could get the factory engine mount off. Anyone that is going to work on one of these, there's a big bolt that goes right here. It's kind of like a nut. You have to take off the oil, like the PSI reading for the oil. It's late, I can't think right now, but the you know, the filter or the sensor, PSI sensor. But yeah, so you have to remove that, and then there's a nut behind that, and you've got to remove that, and then there's like 2 or 3 like little tiny ones that come off, and then the whole thing comes off, so you can actually remove all of the engine mounts. So I kind of have an idea. I got a bunch of stuff that I think I can make work, kind of together and kind of hodgepodge it. But I've been working on finishing the floors. I got a few little patches left on the passenger side, and then I just have to finish weld basically the homemade new tunnel, which came out really good. I'm excited for it. Yeah, I guess I'll show you guys kind of what I'm after right now. I have to cut out a little bit more of the firewall on the passenger side. It's just way more rotted than I even thought. And I'm going to then make another patch and then weld that onto the new floor. That way it's all cohesive. I am probably gonna put 1 or 2 supports under the floors as well, just to give it a little bit more rigidity. Kind of overkill probably, but I think from the factory it had it. I only know because it was kind of just like hanging out underneath the car. It wasn't welded in. The guy, not the guy that I bought this from, but whoever had it before him did the floors and just cut out the factory ones and didn't even weld in the new ones. They literally used like panel bond directly over top of some of the rusty stuff. So I've been battling that. So a lot of the welds are ugly as shit just because I can't get all of the glue and the adhesive off. So I'm kind of like having to burn it, which obviously causes pops and nastiness. And then I'm gonna go back over it and then re-weld over that and then seam seal it and then everything else. It's not gonna be the prettiest. It's a driver. It's my personal car. It's not a show car. I'm actually debating on getting the license plate that says no show or something like that. I'm not really sure, but you know, it's gonna be a badass car. It's gonna be a driver. I mean, there's certain things that I don't have the time nor the bandwidth to actually fix, you know, so I kind of just have to, you know, turn a blind eye and not look at it basically. But obviously if I ever sell it, the owner would obviously see that, or the potential new owner would obviously see that. But let me show you kind of what I'm working on underneath the car, and then obviously over on the engine. I know I haven't gotten a ton of footage of this kind of stuff. Honestly, it's really hard to film some of this stuff by myself. Plus it's also just super monotonous, and you know, it's not something that's gonna excite you guys anyways to see it. So I'm just kind of, I'm currently kind of just giving like updates basically. So let me show you some of the stuff. All right, so I did a little cutting here. You can see this is the old firewall, and that's how I got the swoop for the transmission mount. So this is all cut out, and that'll give me a little bit more room, and then I'll butt weld this, that way it's all solid. But getting there. Floors, I epoxied the bottom before I started, but yeah, obviously, like I said, the old floors and the old tunnel that was in the back, 'cause like the back we still have the factory tunnel, just like I have the factory hoop from the firewall here. It had tons of glue and everything, and like it just burns anytime I tried to strip it or anything. I'm getting it off as best as I can. I have some chemicals I'm gonna try, but that's the goal right now. So that's kind of where I'm at. Ideal situation, I would have a new floorboard. They're really expensive and really hard to find on these cars. And again, it's my personal car. It's never gonna be a show car. There's so many other things wrong with this car that just won't be a Riddler winner. It won't be anything like that. It's gonna be solid. It's going to work well, and it's gonna do everything I need and anyone else that wants in the future. So yeah, that's the end of video 1. Sorry it's a little late. Honestly, I just got caught up in a ton of stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty full bore on this thing now. I have a guy coming in Monday, which is tomorrow, to help finish up or I guess take over the speed shapes. That way I don't have to do them every day. So he'll be handling them day to day, and then also kind of working on the other El Camino in the background. Really just doing floors and that thing first, and rocker panels, and then we'll start doing other stuff. And once the boring stuff like floors and that kind of shit's done, I'll start showing you guys more. Obviously I'll show you some, here and there updates, kind of similar to like what I'm doing here, but a little bit less on top of it, only because this is #1 priority. But anyways, I appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe. This will be a full breakdown. We have about 50 days left, so it's going to be coming hard and fast. Appreciate you guys. Thanks.